Hi, welcome to the BariNation podcast, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I'm April.
I'm Jason.
I'm Natalie.
Today, the three of us are just going to talk with each other, and our topic is looking fallward. Kind of a little play on names, right? Instead of like looking forward, right? We're looking towards the fall. We're looking for a new season. And there's big changes in all of our lives. So we just wanted to take a minute and recalibrate with each other and talk about where we're at in our bariatric journeys. And then also share some things that have been making a positive impact in our life. So either on our bariatric journey or just in our life in general, right? Because while our bariatric journey is our life, sometimes it feels separate. Sometimes it feels like it's all mashed into one. So we just wanted to get together and like I said, just really recalibrate, check in with one another, see how everybody's doing, understand kind of what the goals or ambitions or hopes are for the season ahead, and share some things that are, going really well in our lives.
Yep.
A little bit of a departure. Yeah. Well, I know sometimes like we love interviewing people. We love diving deep. We love exploring new things and having those aha moments. But sometimes that's just a lot. And sometimes you just want to like relax and hang out and reconnect with your friends and just chill a little bit. So that's what this episode is all about.
Yes.
I know. Finally. And speaking of looking forward, I think I'll start right off the bat by saying in the BariNation world, we have some really exciting things coming up the last few months of the year. We are really excited to be returning to a weekly podcast drop. I know, yay! It's something that we've heard a lot of feedback about, but I got to say, on a personal note, I'm so thankful that we had this time, that our community gave us the space and grace to just kind of disconnect here for a little bit, reconnect with ourselves, with each other, and just kind of get grounded. It is a lot of work hosting a podcast. Even if you do one episode a month, we were doing 4 or 5 a month. And right, to really get in the mind frame to have these conversations, it's a lot of work, right? The pre, the post, the in the middle, it just is a lot. And there's some days where it can be really hard to like get to this point where you are ready to have these conversations and to be present. So it was really nice to have that break. I don't know what you guys felt like, but that's certainly what I felt like.
No, it's funny that you mention it, because it's one of those things where sometimes you really have to miss something to know like how important it was. Like we understand the importance of what it is to the community, but as far as importance to ourselves, it took us missing that to realize like that is something that we, it's time spent with each other that we were missing. It's, being able to, talk through some of the things that we have been going through ourselves, and it be therapeutic not only for us, but for you guys as well. And, as we always say, like helping, any help that we've given you guys has come back to us tenfold. And that's legitimately kind of one of the things I know I myself was missing, was the fact of that kind of this is kind of like therapy for us, and not having it wasn't something I knew I needed until I had the break. And then once I had the break, I didn't realize how much I needed to be back here doing it. So I'm glad to actually come full circle and be back. So it makes me happy.
Yeah, I think for myself, I was really grateful because I have been going through a lot of life transitions. So it was really nice for me to be able to step back. I knew that I would miss it. I know that, like Jason said, this is one of our favorite things to do. It's where we started, BariNation, east to west. But I also, it really allowed me to take a deep breath over the summer and connect with friends and family, and, uh, you know, continue to water those connections. I felt like I've been go, go, go for a year. And it was just really nice for me to be able to just have that space to connect with people in my life. We were also able, because of this break, to go to ASMBS and do a lot of things for the bariatric community. And so I think, again, yeah, having those moments of space and grace to just like recalibrate, refocus, get our heads on straight, our minds right. It was nice. for me, but I'm ready. I'm ready. This lineup that we have going is going to be so good. Can't wait.
Oh my God. Oh my God. When I just look at the topics and the guests that we're going to be inviting on and the support that we are going to be offering in the BariNation support community, I am just like, oh my God. We hope that you feel a shift and in the best possible way. We've always been really intentional about what we do, but sometimes that it takes, again, a lot of energy and a lot of effort to continue to be intentional. We see this in our own bariatric journeys, right? You hit the ground running and you're doing everything strong, and then it just gets exhausting. It gets really heavy. And if you don't fight through that heaviness, just things feel off. And this time away has really kind of helped us. And I'm so glad you said that, Jason, right? When you step away from something and then you are called back to it, you know that is exactly where you need to be and where you need to pour your energies into. And that probably, like, literally, that just connected in my brain. The three of us have been having personal conversations about how we're just feeling a little disconnected from each other. It's because we're not recording a freaking podcast episode every week. Like, I forget. Oh my God. But like, literally, as you guys were talking, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, oh my God, that's how I know so much about you two. Not because we're spending hours and hours. I mean, we do spend a lot of time together outside of the podcast, but we learn about each other during these conversations. But they're so like intimate and meaningful that in my brain, I'm like, no, we were just like, that's just what we do. I'm like, oh my God. Wow.
Which, you're not wrong. It is what we do. It's just we do it in a certain setting, and we haven't had that setting, so it's easy to feel like we've been disconnected. So yeah.
No, right? Oh my gosh. So yeah, what's coming up for in the fall is going to be absolutely amazing. And the topics that you're going to see are really going to drive the support that we're offering in the BariNation support community. It's going to drive the support that we're doing outside of the community on our Instagram channel and feed. Really, everything is going to tie back to these big topics. And what has been fun developing them is that we really went to the community. We went to the people and the podcast listeners, and we said, you know, what are you struggling with, or what do you really want to know more about? What is piquing your interest? And the topics that we got back were fascinating, and it's been a lot of fun to match the topic with that community discussion, and then with the expert that can really kind of provide us this different lens for these rather heavy hitting topics. So it's going to be amazing. Fall's going to be fire. And I'm excited to get there. I don't want to rush it, but I'm excited for us to kind of move in that direction.
I'm ready. So I love fall.
We all love fall. Oh, maybe that's a great first question. What is our favorite thing about fall? What is like your money thing?
For me, it's the fact that I know there's going to be more time spent with the people that really are like the closest to me. Like, I know there's going to be holidays coming up. There's going to be things. There's going to be, everybody gets into decorating different things for different times of the year. And like, this is a fun time leading up to all things that are coming in the future. But for me, living in Florida, I'm just, happy that it's not going to be 105 with 99% humidity. It's going to be like 97 with like 80% humidity. So, we get a nice little cold front coming through, and it'll be great. Like it.
Cold front. Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay.
Good Lord.
You can believe that if you want, that it's a cold front, but
Hey, in January it comes. It'll get down to like 60 in January. Like, it's coming.
Oh my God! Okay. Clutch my shawl. 60?
Like a whole 4 days, whole 4 or 5 days worth. Yeah, the winter week is hell here.
Oh my God. Get out of here.
I was going to say that 60 degrees in Washington. We're like sweatshirts off, Daisy Dukes on, tank tops are out, guns out. We're like, oh, it's summer.
I'll still be driving with the top down on the Mustang. Trust and believe. Like, I'll be out there I'll be living my best life.
Oh my gosh. I think for me, it's all of the big traditions. My family is very into holidays. We are a holiday family. And obviously we celebrate like other holidays. Easter, 4th of July is a big one for our family, but Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas are like crack to our family. I just being able to reminisce on my childhood, you know, going to the pumpkin patch and eating chili and cornbread after carving all day, like doing those types of activities to kind of make me feel centered and like I'm at home no matter where I am is really big for me. I also just love cooking for people. That's one of my favorite things to do. I know Jason's like, hell yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, just being able to like carry on traditions. And also, my family has lost our matriarch 3 years ago. So we're kind of also remaking a lot of traditions and starting new traditions. And so that's been really fun too. So just spending time with family, reminiscing, traditions, but also pumpkin spices life. And that was targeted to Rob specifically. So Rob DeBedio, if you are listening, that is for you.
Wow. Direct. That's not even a shot across the bow. That is just a
No,
shot at the hole. Just
that was directed to him because he always makes me feel bad for drinking pumpkin spice before it's cold out. So
hey,
Yeah,
there's a
he
rule.
he does feel like there's a whole section on the calendar that's specifically like you can't eat. It's like white after Labor Day kind of thing. It's like you can't, like you can't. So many days for like the pumpkin spice window in his world.
spoiler, I would drink pumpkin spice every day, year round, if I could. If it was available to me, I would do it. So,
It's
Wow.
pumpkin spice in July. Huh?
Right.
oh yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I'm
there
not
we've
I'm not kidding.
I grew up in a family with hard and fast rules. We cannot enjoy pumpkin spice lattes until the first day of fall. This is like we can't have a peppermint mocha until we go to Leavenworth, which is the weekend before Thanksgiving. There's some other things there. You can't have Hawaiian punch until everybody's at the lake. You can't have otter pops until the lake is open. Like there are just, but people, these are markers. These are the monuments in our life in which the world revolves around. And if those monuments fall, chaos ensues. Pumpkin spice on the 4th of July. Are you kidding? Is this is like Mad
Let
Max.
let me live my life.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
me live.
Nope.
I'm
We
not
we
I'm not hurting anyone.
No,
I'm
no,
not
you're
hurting
not.
anyone.
you are causing me pain and discomfort. You are causing me mental anguish and distress right now. I am
Okay.
let's take this
Okay.
to the people. Let's take this to the people. We recently discovered this is how like out of the loop we've been. So our podcast is hosted on Spotify, which is awesome. You can listen to it anywhere, right? Or watch it on YouTube. But we turned on polls. So after you listen to this
Good.
episode or right now, I want you to hit pause. I want you to go Google BariNation Spotify, bring up our Spotify homepage, and you are going to see a poll question there for this episode. And it's going to say, right, something about when can you drink pumpkin spice lattes? Is it before, first day of fall, or after? And we're going to let the people speak. And whatever they come up with is what we as a collective group have to agree to. Okay?
No, no, no.
Not taking away
Absolutely
pumpkin
not.
spice.
I'm not
It's so bad.
I'm not signing that contract. I refuse.
Wow. Wow. Well, let's see what the people have to say. Let's see what the pod squad has to say. All right, friends. So go there, follow those instructions, go to the poll and vote because I am curious now. I think most people are going to be on team fall. That's my prediction. We'll
I
see.
don't know. I don't know. We got a lot of pumpkin spice riders, so you may be surprised.
Oh my God.
I think
We'll
your
see.
rules are a little extreme, but I'm just
Please.
saying.
What is the world without order? Okay. What is the world without order?
Without pumpkin spice order,
It's hey, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
it's true.
This
That's very
is
true.
this is my
Very true.
D-Day. This is my beach. This is my beachhead. I mean,
You're gonna die on that hill,
I am. I am. I am. Oh God.
huh?
Well, my favorite part of fall is making fun of people who drink pumpkin spice lattes before the first day of fall. I you guys know I love football. So the return of football is like, oh, thank God. Again, order in a chaotic world now that my beloved Seahawks are back. This is going to be a very different fall for me, though. There is so much, I don't even know what the right word is here, but there's a lot of like heaviness in my personal world right now that I think some of the things that we used to do are just not going to happen. Like the traditions are kind of going to be out the window or shifted, or it's just different. Like there is a wind, and the wind has shifted things kind of in my personal life and kind of in my personal sphere, which is, it is what it is. I'm not mad, sad, angry. It just, this is just how life happens. So this fall, I'm really approaching it a different way. I'm not falling back into anything because I kind of feel like everything has changed and everything has shifted. So, what I'm really looking forward to is discovering what this new way of living, these new order of operations, these new routines, these new habits are going to look and feel like, because I find myself in a position to really do things quite differently. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. And I love, the Pacific Northwest has been my home forever. I mean, Nat, you know this. There is something magical about this time of our season. It's like summer is over. It is officially done, because we wake up in the morning and there is dew everywhere. It is cold. It is crisp. There is a sharpness to everything. It's like the air is clear. Everything just gets very sharp. And it's beautiful and it's stunning. And I love this season, because while it's like a season of possibilities, it's also like everything is just getting ready for what's coming. So you just see, just that sharpness helps me see a lot of clarity and focus in my own life. And I really love it too when all of the trees around us, half of them are deciduous, half of them are evergreen. But when those trees lose their leaves, you actually get to see what's really there. It's a big moment of clarity. And I'm really kind of approaching this fall as kind of like some of these trees are. It's like, nope, they're going to become naked. Like I'm going to, you're going to see it all. And I'm excited for that. So yeah, it's going to be a fall unlike any other. It already has been a fall, or the end of a summer, unlike any other. And I'm really just trying to adjust my life now to not living with a 4-year-old terrorist. I can't believe how used to I got to kind of living with him and falling into his rhythm and routine, or kind of coming up with your own thing. And now that he's gone, I'm like, well, I saw Stella, which is good. But, you're like, oh, I kind of miss my little like meeting co-host, or, whatever it is. So yeah, just all kinds of different things.
Yeah. The Pacific Northwest is so different this time of year. I mean, summers, Jason, you got to experience a Pacific Northwest summer with us. They're great. Everything is in Technicolor. It's, sunny, it's warm, it's, all the good things. And then it's pretty much like a light switch. Like someone just went, nope, it's fall now. And
yep.
You wake up and it's 57 degrees and, Dude, you're freezing cold.
And it's absolutely hilarious, because this always happens in like the middle or end of August. All of a sudden, it's like within a few days' time, everybody that is calling you, and they're like, "Did you feel that? Is it cooler? Like, did you notice the tree? Like, oh," and everybody's like, "Oh, it's here," and you're like, "Oh." Everybody's like, "Oh, fall's here. Oh, it's coming." It's weird. We're weird.
It's like in Mary Poppins.
Yeah, I get to watch seasons through Instagram and Facebook because I don't have this.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, pretty but it's much like Mary Poppins when they're like, winds in the east.
Yes.
Breeze coming in, and you're just like, ooh, it's changing.
Something's a brewing, about to begin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's my favorite part of watching winter from social media, because I don't like it. I don't want any part of it. I want it to stay hot all the time.
No.
Hot enough, not crazy hot, but hot enough. Like I don't need to go anywhere below like 75. Like but that's like our favorite pastime here is watching how close to 80 people will break out scarves and Uggs. Because about 78 to 75 is about the warmest I've seen, where people will break out scarves and Uggs and start putting on beanies, and they get like, we'll have like stuff at the Seawalk Pavilion by the beach, and there's people are getting all bundled up with their little coffees, and I'm like, dude, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, it's cold enough. I'm like, no, but it's not though. They're like, but the wind coming off the water. I was like, still warm, still hot. Wow. Like, no.
Wow. To each their own. To each their own.
I'm gonna start a series this year. I'm gonna start taking pictures of people. I'm gonna go down by the beach and start taking pictures of people in their Uggs and scarves
Oh,
and their
God.
beanies.
It makes you sweat just thinking about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Just gonna say.
same. Awful.
All right, friends. Let's do some looking forward. So when we think about the season coming up, thinking about the year that we've had, all that has happened, what are you moving into this season with? Do you have some things you want to accomplish, some things you want to revisit? Are you really doing good? Are you okay with being okay? Right? Like what are we thinking? How do we want our year to wrap up?
Man, that's a tough one. My year didn't start bad, but it went off the rails here about midway through and never got back on. I've had a lot of things happen in my personal life that have caused lots of issues in my not only in my journey but in just my my regular personal life, and things that I didn't see coming, things I didn't expect, things I didn't really know how to move through. And I, kind of in the back of my mind knew that the things I was doing to self-soothe or to help or to try to process weren't really working for me. And I have tried to kind of right the ship, so to speak, in getting through kind of the last half of the year. But what I've figured out is that I didn't really know how impacted I was. It just kind of hit me the other day. I realized the sheer weight of what I had been trying to just move through like nothing was really wrong. Like I kind of process the grief from my father, kind of go through those things, get back home from that, kind of try to go through stuff. And as I realized, it was like, I'm talking like yesterday, the day before, I think it was, I started realizing like, you're not as good as you think you are. Like things aren't really going as well as you pretend that they are. But when I really broke it down, I didn't even know I was pretending. Like I thought things were good. Like I thought I was like cool. Like I was able to process and kind of move and do things and get back to kind of, quote unquote normal. And then I realized that I'm really not, because there are times that I can stick to what I know is going to get me back where I want to be mentally, physically, weight wise, all the things, but I won't sustain it. And I don't sustain it on purpose, because I'll set a plan and I know exactly what I'm doing to work the plan, and I'll do the plan. And then I just one day I wake up and decide like, yeah, except no. No, not today. Not this meal, not next meal, not this snack, not that snack. Like and I always tell myself, kind of the cheater type shit, like what we talked about, the other night on the struggle bus. Like I'm tricking myself into thinking that I'm gonna be, I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Well, gonna really never sets in if you don't want it to. You can gonna yourself into as long of a break as you want to take. And I'm really finding out that that's what I've been doing under the guise of just really not being okay, not being as okay as I thought I was. So it's taken a lot of kind of processing over the last couple of days for me to kind of at least come to the realization. Now, as far as a plan to get myself out of it, I don't have that yet. I don't. I can't even pretend to act like I do, but I I know at least enough to know now what's going on. And I know that it's a problem. And I know that I need to put forth the effort to fix it. So until I do that, like that's really what I'm kind of dedicating my whole fall to, is to figuring out exactly what the hell I need to do to get out of acting like I'm okay and actually start unpacking to be okay.
Whoa. Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Big stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you realize this? How did you come to this like moment of realization?
So I have always kind of suffered from like rage. Like I'm a very like a lot of like no, there's a lot of people that have no idea how bad my temper used to be. And I hated that about myself, always did. Grew up with it from my father, my brothers, my, kind of pattern after what I saw, growing up. Like that's two emotions, either happy or, raging out. And so I worked really, really hard to get away from acting like that and the feelings and the like, because basically what it is like in me, it will be it's kind of like the tea kettle, reference as to look, by the time it boils over, it's too late kind of shit. But if I can stop myself from actually freaking out, the problem with that is the pressure doesn't go anywhere. Like I'll hang on to the pressure. I just won't freak out. Like no cabinets get broke. No, I don't rip doors off cabinets. I don't break stuff. I don't throw stuff. I don't do things. But it still just sits there. Like it doesn't dissipate. And I got away from that for a really long, I want to say like 7 years. I didn't have an incident one. Like everything was great. I was able to stay level, no problems. And then just recently, it got to a point where that behavior started coming back. And when it happens, I will lash out at those that are closest to me because I know they're not going anywhere. And they know that I don't mean it, but it doesn't fix the action that I still do it. And I hate the way I feel when I'm done. It's always been the worst thing ever was to have to try to put those pieces back together again because I know it's not always ever the same. And for me to have been back in that place, even for a short period of time, was too much for me to handle. And I had to legitimately like just shut everything down because I didn't know how to move forward again without being that person that I didn't want to be. So I had to compartmentalize that part and try to learn how to get back to the place where I had been for that 7 years, where I didn't have any of those incidents. And it's almost like I didn't remember how to get back there. So it took a lot for me to try to unpack and figure out that that's how I knew I wasn't okay, because I couldn't get through minor shit. Like I was at the grocery store and had to legit and I've never had a panic attack or anxiety on that level. But once I explained it to Sarah, she was like, "You had a panic attack." And I was like, "Well, I don't like that shit at all. Like, I'm not a fan, 0 stars, do not recommend, like, absolutely not." So I go in, like, I'm in public way too much for me to have these things like pop up out of nowhere. So I was like, yeah, no, not going to do that. So that's when she was kind of like, we kind of started talking about it. She, I had to really do a lot of deep reflection and realize that, there's stuff that I thought I processed must not have been processed, or I must, just the sheer way to just all, because it's not just my father or not just, all the, it's a collection of all the things as a whole. So it's not like you can just take one thing and go, oh, well, it's this, and I'll just fix this and go away over here and everything will be fine. So it's going to take a lot of me just kind of unpacking and figure out exactly where all the sore spots are so that I can, dig through them one at a time until I get there. I will get there because I've been there before. It's just going to take some work to get there.
I relate so much to what you said about holding it because I also hold a lot of anger and rage. I just express it differently. But I also used to be a very just angry person. And I think where, people are like, oh, you can't, XYZ, you can't get it out in this XYZ manner. It's like, well, how do I get it out? You have to kind of like, well, I can't hold on to it. So what do I do? Right. And then that's when I feel like I turn to food or I turn to, alcohol or whatever, something to just like calm that that anger. And so I just thank you for voicing, you know, what you're experiencing, because I know that you and I are not the only ones that experience that uh, emotion.
No, that's why rage rooms were invented, is for people,
Yep.
because we're not alone. And you can go pay to
No.
break stuff that's not your own that you don't have to replace later, which is really what I figured I probably should start doing, because I wish they had those back in the day when I used to break stuff all the time, because man, that would have been cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dang.
Wow.
I mean, it's awesome that you have come to this realization. You have not seemed like yourself in a while, truly. And I think no matter how we ask you or what we say, you just don't, you can't understand it, because the thing that you're saying to yourself is, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Everybody thinks there's something wrong with me. They're the crazy ones.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get past that because you're just so invested in you know, maintaining this aura of like, everything's fine, everything's fine. It's literally the meme. It's the guy or the dog at the coffee shop, everything's on fire, and the dog is just like, this is fine. It's not. Everybody else can see it, but you can't, because you're just so focused on keeping it together. And yeah.
Well, it goes back to what happens if you don't say I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I just going to punch through walls again? Like, where does this orb of energy of anger go? You know, and you have to work through where it goes.
Well, it was hard for me because I couldn't, I had to say I was fine because I didn't know what else to call it. I didn't have another name for it. So I couldn't put a label on it. So I'd be like, no, I'm good. Oh, good. Don't worry about it. No, I'm good. I'm straight. Don't worry about it. And it eventually you get to a point where I'm fine or I'm good just doesn't feel right. So regardless of whether or not you can name it, you just know that fine doesn't feel right. Okay is not enough. It's not, that's just not, it doesn't match. And my face didn't match it when I was saying it. And my body language damn sure didn't match it when I was saying it. So it's just one of those things that I had to finally come to the realization that, as strong as I want to be, as tough as I want to be, as much as I want to be, I can't be the weak one because I'm here for everybody else, that kind of shit. That I had to finally realize that no, like shit's gonna go off the rails real bad if you don't do something. Like, you can't just be out here, being, switching between the Hulk and Bruce Banner and then expecting everybody to want to hang around you, and just like you're gonna wake up and your whole support system is gonna be gone, and then what the hell are you gonna do? You don't have anybody left because you ran everybody off. Yep. And so it really took. It really was. It was a tough conversation, and it was really tough to look at myself on two different fronts, because I'm not a person who's not fine, hardly ever. Like, it's not. That's just not. I've never been that person. I've always been the person that could kind of make it okay, and also to have to finally admit that just I got to fix it. Like, there's shit to fix, and that's hard to even admit to in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it's hard? Why is it hard to admit that there's
it's hard for me to admit, because I've never not been able to move past stuff. I've never been able to not process things, move around it, move past it, let things kind of not necessarily roll off my back, but I've never not been able to like unpack something in a way that I could toss it aside, like be done with it and be like, okay, this is what it is. Now we do this. Like, I've always kind of been able to do the pause and pivot thing and kind of redirect. While change isn't something that I love, with everything that's kind of happened in my life, I've been able to kind of do the pause and pivot thing. Helps me from having it kind of helps me to absorb the change in a way that's beneficial for me. And so it was hard for me to have to really sit back and say, this is going to take some work.
I had a similar conversation with somebody else this summer, and what I told this person was, look, if you keep falling on your sword for everybody else, sooner or later you're going to hit a vital organ and you're going to die. You cannot keep falling on your sword because it's going to kill you. And the other thing that I told this person was, which I had to come to grips with lots of time in therapy, was many of us in this community, all three of us, are high achievers. And we're actually really smart individuals. And a lot of things have come easy. And I don't mean to discredit the work that went into doing it, but you know what I mean? Like when you're excited to start something and you go down a path of learning or doing, there's not a lot of resistance, right? Like you make mistakes along the way, but it's fun and it's enjoyable. And it's kind of like, oh, this wasn't as hard as what I thought it was, right? Like a lot of things just come easy because we're high achievers and we look for, A to B or A to Z, shortest path. When we encounter something in our life that is actually difficult, we won't do it because it's really, really hard. And I did that in my life for 37 years, right? Whenever I decided to have bariatric surgery, my weight was the one thing that I encountered that I could not solve. I could not figure it out. It was really, really difficult. And until I just committed to the fact of like, oh, this is going to be the hardest thing I've actually ever done. College was hard, but not like this, right? And for the first time in my life, I really had to commit to doing the hard work. And when I did that, it opened the door for me. And I wonder if this is something kind of similar for you, Jason, right? I think a lot of things have kind of not easy, but you know what I mean? Like you rolled with it. And now all of a sudden, this is really hard. And I think what changed for me is that before, when I encountered these things that were really hard, I would just like, oh, I'm just not going to do it. Or I would turn to food. I can't turn to food anymore. And I'm tired of shying away from the really hard things because that's what's preventing my life from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it seems like now you're kind of at this point where it's like, okay, well, you've never gone through what you went through this summer with your dad without food as your constant companion to help you through that. And this is going to be really, really hard. It's almost like the commitment. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're kind of there again where you're like, oh shit, man. Like I really do. If I really do want a different life, I really have to have a different life.
Yeah. No, that's 100% what it's like. And it's going to take commitment on a lot of fronts. So, I'm still in the commitment, struggling with the commitment for my bariatric journey. And it's going to still be the same way for the other parts of my life. Because like we always say, bariatric life just becomes life eventually. And the bad stuff's not going to stop. And, I can attest to that because I've been handed my fair share of it this summer. So I'm hopeful in the sense that what the new season will bring for me, hopefully, is clarity, understanding, and the ability to kind of unpack this stuff, one by one. And I don't want to just unpack it and toss it aside. I want to actually unpack it, process it, go through it. That way it doesn't come back again as unfinished business. So that's kind of my plan.
Wow. I mean, holy shit, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's news to Nat and I.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still absorbing everything that you just said. But I mean, I know you acknowledge that you don't have your game plan. So I think that will be some, which is fine. I'm not saying it's like we need it. But I'm just thinking for future episodes, we'll make sure we check in and see how we can support you as friends, and then how the bariatric community can support you as well, because you can't do it alone. So
no.
Nope. And I wouldn't even plan to with all the help that I have, especially from you too. I'll be just fine.
And I've been thinking about this a lot these past couple of weeks about why people get so angry at their friends and family who go through bariatric surgery, right? Because there's so much change and it really is true. Like, you don't become a different person, but you kind of do. How you present your soul, both physically and emotionally, how you verbalize it, right? How you choose to react to situations, all of that changes. And they're also mad or upset, or they're grieving the loss of the person who they know as you in that moment. They love you, even flawed and crazy and things that you don't like about yourself. They accept you as this whole package. Well, when the package starts to change, they're mad and they're grieving that. And I think that what you're about to embark on is going to change a lot of you and how you present. And Nat and I are here to grieve that a little bit with you, but also to support the person that you're becoming, right? As long as it's healthy for you and the people around you. Yeah. Like, okay, we will miss maybe parts of the old you, but we're also here for the new you.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get back to a lot more of the old me. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. It's exciting, right? Like these moments of, oh, there's so many graphics out on the internet, but I saw one, recently that was like basically if you feel like you're being buried, maybe you're being planted instead. And I feel like all of us here on this screen and in this podcast are just, we feel like we're being buried, like all this stuff is just being put on us, but it's really like we're being planted, and it's exciting to see as we go into these fall months of kind of hibernation or all of this work that we're going to be doing under the surface. And, come next year, who knows where we'll be. It's just really hard and dark, and it's kind of sucks right now.
True.
Dang. That's a perfect visual, Nat.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh my God, and I saved it to my phone. It was what I needed for sure.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason, for sharing. That was big.
Of course.
Huge.
Ms. Nat, what about you?
Oh goodness. I feel like I'm very similar to Jason. I'm going through a lot of really big life transitions. I left my job in April. I've been volunteering time with BariNation for what 5 months now, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been phenomenal, right? Like these moments have been really awesome, and I never thought that I would ever be able to do anything like this. So I'm trying to grasp moments of just like reflection and understanding that like I brought this period of life to myself, which is hard to do because sometimes you're just like, why is life throwing all of this at me? But it's like, no, you asked for this. Like, it doesn't look the way that you
are the queen of manifesting.
Yeah.
Whatever you manifest, spot on.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you asked for this, maybe not in this way, this presentation, but you asked for this. And so I'm having a lot of hard conversations just with myself of like, okay, I'm being presented with what I asked for. I can either take it and continue to go through the hard things and be buried, so to speak, or I can choose to not take this and live a similar life to what I did 6 months ago. So that's been a lot. I have to move out of my place as we're recording this in 2 weeks. Which is another huge thing that, of course, had to happen at the same time as everything. And I also turned 30 in 2 months. So I'm like I'm just tired, really, is what I am. My life is great. My life is hard. So I'm trying to take the goodness of it and really like marinate in it when I can. And I'm also trying to just acknowledge and work through all of the hard things that I'm going through. And it's a lot. I feel like I don't have words other than it's a lot. And sometimes the I'm fine mentality really is just to get myself through another day. Like, because in reality, I am fine. Like, I have a house. I will have a place to live come October. Our BariNation is doing really well. Things are fine. They just are also difficult. Like both can be true um, at the same time. So I'm trying to really just be steadfast. I don't really have necessarily like specific goals. It's for me right now, it's just to get through the other chapter, through to the next chapter right now, because this chapter is ending pretty tumultuously,
Right.
which is fine. I feel like that's how my 20s have been, very tumultuous. So it's only fair that this chapter ends this way. So yeah, I really am trying to focus on the good things in my life and not turn a blind eye to the things that are hard that I still have to work through at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does feel like you're going out with a bang, so to speak, right? You're going to exit your 20s. Yep, kind of like how you went into them, though, right? You came in going out the same way you came in. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, my 20s started, I was going to college in Alaska with, all my friends and partying it up with all of them, leaving just as crazy and chaotic. So it's not anything I didn't expect necessarily, but I was like, maybe life will just give me an easy transition and I'll like enter my 30s feeling so good and like, no, no, life is like, no, we have unfinished business that we need you to complete in 2 months.
Let's like buckle up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to need you to do all this stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to somebody the other day, and it was about like this person was saying like I just feel so bad. I'm just going through the motions, and it's like, but that's what they're there for. Like
Yeah.
this isn't a bad thing. We have to meet ourselves where we're at each and every day. And if one day all you can do is go through the motions, then that's what you do. That's what you do. And that's okay.
Yep.
Knowing that better days are ahead, right? Like things will be okay. But that's what it's literally there for. And I'm really proud of you for, you do have a lot of chaos. You got a lot of stuff going on. Everything is like changing, right? But you're able to kind of take yourself out of this, like, I'm sure there's a word for it, right? But this, like this, oh my God, everything's awful, catastrophe, future tripping, like, right? Like you were able to go, oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait. I have a place to live. I'm going to have food. Things are okay. Like you were able to bring yourself, this book that I'm reading, I swear to God, you guys, the tools, there's this line and he talks about fighting to get back to the present. And I kind of see both of you fighting to not trip out in the past, to not live in the future. You're fighting very hard to be in the present and to
Mm-hmm.
really focus on, okay, what is actually true right now? Is it true that I'm going to be homeless? No. Is it true that I'm this awful person? No, none of this is true. You're fighting very hard to just focus on the present. And that is really
Mm-hmm.
difficult to do. And I think one of the ways that we can fight to be in the present is just to go through the motions sometimes, to just let the things that we've kind of automated in life just keep automating so that we can just say, nope, today, this is what I need to do. I need to focus on these things. I need to acknowledge that this is true and then just move forward. And like your move isn't going to go the way that you thought it would not, but it doesn't matter. You're moving, you have a place, everything is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I resisted so hard. I did not want to move in with my parents. I was like, I'm turning 30 this year. I'm gonna have a cool place that I like. Like I was very just resistant to even asking at all. And just calling my mom, and I remember I was super nervous, and I was like, because I've had experiences in the past where other siblings had come to live. They said it would be for a couple months, and it ended up being like 2 years, and like the living situation was very chaotic. So I didn't want that to be their impression of my intention. And my mom just, oh yeah, of course. And I was like, okay, but I'd be there with Hooper and all my stuff. And she's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, wait, so this isn't a big deal? Oh, okay. So I've been
Oh,
like tripping over nothing? Cool.
yeah. And then she goes, Natalie, I lived with your grandma for like 3 years, the first 3 years you were born. Like, and so it's those moments of like, oh my God. And it's anxiety is the word. I'm just letting you know that's the word you were looking for, is just like I was so anxious and like the world's on fire. Now I have to ask my parents for a handout. My pride was getting in the way. And my mom was just like, yeah, whatever. And she just brought me down. So it's like I just have to take these moments of like, what am I going to do? I'm so like terrified of doing all of these things. And then being like, okay, but my mom literally didn't care that I was coming to live with her. Like, it's not a big deal. And you just have to ground yourself in those moments.
And if she gave you a hard time, you could have just told her it was my idea and she would have loved it and it would have been fine.
It's true. If you guys don't know, my mom adores Jason. She asks about Jason more than she asks about April. And I talk to April way more than I talk to Jason.
It's only because
So
I gave
funny.
her a ride. Only because I gave her a ride. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
The world is unfair.
It is funny though. She's like, oh, Jason.
Yep, I could have got you off the hook. See, it would have been
Mm-hmm.
all good.
Yeah.
Well, you highlight another really important lesson that we all have to learn, and that is we spend so much time fretting and worrying about what could be instead of just taking action and getting an answer. Our lives could be so much better if we just like, okay, move forward with that. But it's something that every human does. It's something that, right, prevented me from having bariatric surgery for a very long time. It's that living in the future. It's that catastrophizing. It's that, oh, what if? You don't know until you just ask the dang question, until you just take action. And then
And
you know.
I've been saying recently too, it's someone said that to me, not about asking my mom to live with my parents, but similar situation. And they said the worst they can say is no.
Yeah.
Like that is literally the worst thing that they could say. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, we
Mm-hmm.
can't, you can't live here. Okay, like then I'll figure something else out, right? Like it's
Yep.
not,
Yep.
yeah,
Well,
but I think that's our high achiever brain too.
yeah, because we're worried about rejection and we're worried about what they're going to say, right? And I also think too, by not getting an answer, we're giving ourselves permission to stay stuck because we're just not ready to move forward yet, right? So we're like, oh, but
Yeah,
I just don't know. Oh, I can't. It's because you're just not ready to move on. But sooner or
yeah,
later, either you make the leap, or the universe was going to push you off the damn cliff. So do
yep,
you want to be the one that's jumping, or do you want to be the one that's pushed?
right,
Right.
right.
So make the choice. And it's not even really about control. It's just about like, stop spending so much energy on things that you could get an answer from so that you can make a decision. And yeah, but there's a lot
Well,
that
and the
goes into
difference
it.
the difference is if you jump yourself, you can aim where you want to go. If you're pushed, you fall where you fall. You land where you fall. Like that's just how it
Mm-hmm.
goes. So
Mm-hmm.
make the strategic jump, and then that'll be the best ever. Because I've been fortunate enough to be in those same positions with hard conversations like that, and they never go the way I think they're going to go in my head. It's always for the best. Nobody has ever just like blown up on me the way I thought they were going to. Luckily, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, but what we do, we always go there in our brains. We always think the worst. We always think it's going to be horrible. And then, luckily it isn't that way.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
because I think when we get so nervous about these things, it's we know there's a lot riding on the answer, right? There is a consequence, or there's going to be a price, whatever this person says,
Hmm.
or whatever the outcome is. And we're really nervous about that. Okay, but you're going to pay it no matter what. Like they're going to
Yep.
say you're not going to avoid paying that price. It's still coming no matter what. Like
Right.
let's just
And
move.
that,
Let's.
yeah, this scenario period was one of those like the universe kicked me off the cliff because they were like, you've been wanting to move for a year. You haven't done it yet? Okay, here you go. There you go. So it's like, okay, do I allow myself to be in that situation again? No, not comfortable. Don't like it.
No, like Jason said, 0 out of 10 stars. Do not recommend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big thumbs
Yeah.
down.
Yep. Big thumbs down. Yep. Well, I did the same thing a couple months ago, right? I had to make a decision. Am I going to make the leap myself, or am I going to let the universe push me off the cliff? No, I'm just going to do it. Terrifying, still terrifying, but I'm glad that I got to choose it instead of being pushed. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice work, girl.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, you guys know, and I kind of already talked about it, right? This is about not falling back into anything. This is about creating all kinds of new things. And I was introduced to a book like 10 years ago by Danielle Laporte called The Desire Map. And her premise in a very short sentence is, if instead of focusing on what we want to achieve, we focus on how we want to feel, it's gonna be better. Very short. And I've been practicing this on and off for about 10 years. And I decided that this season would be a really good season to return to that kind of mode of operating. And you guys know me, I don't have feelings and I don't have tear ducts, but that hasn't worked for me well in the past. So I need to lean into that a little bit. So I just sat down and I thought, like, why am I so unhappy? Why am I so angry? Why am I feeling so, I'm feeling some things that I don't want to feel. I was feeling very weak. I was feeling very disconnected. I was living in fear, and I was scared. And I don't like feeling that way. So this fall, this season, I want to feel strong. I want to feel connected, and I want to feel courageous. And I even went a step further, and I wanted to make sure that the things that I was doing to feel those way were also aligned to our bariatric pillars, right? I have to get back to movement, mindset, and metabolic wellness. But I'm not starting with those. I'm starting with my feelings, right? So to feel strong, I have been committed to training for the 5K that we're going to do on November 4th. So November 4th is a big movement day. It's Bariatric Society's 5K at Retreat. And it's the Trio Foundation's Walk from Obesity, a virtual walk. So we're actually doing both of those. We're going to participate in them on the same day. And I've decided to train to slog it for the first time ever. So we've got an accountability group in the BariNation support community, and it's awesome and it's wonderful. And that is definitely helping me feel stronger than I was before. And also I can feel emotionally strong by just having some conversations with people that I've been avoiding. And when I do have an emotion come up, or somebody makes me feel a certain way, I can just have a conversation with them about it. That helps me feel strong. So that's what I'm going to be doing. More movement, maybe some strength training, but really focusing on the 5K and just kind of standing up for myself and for my feelings. I've been feeling disconnected from my bariatric journey. I've been feeling disconnected from the community. So really returning to water, vitamins, protein. All right. Like, okay, cool. And I am going to more supports in BariNation, and I'm leading more supports in BariNation. And that has really helped me feel more connected with the community. And instead of doom scrolling on Instagram, which has just been like a dumpster fire for me lately, I am spending my time in the BariNation community. And oh my God, to not have an algorithm throw things my way that won't help me has been one of the most powerful aha moments I've had really in the last 2 weeks. That algorithm is there to keep me glued to it. It's just throwing me controversy after controversy. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't need that. That is not helpful. What is helpful is just focusing my time, energy, and attention in a community that we have curated and fostered to be this safe place for just joy and discovery. Like there's no competition. It's just like, oh, okay. Ooh, it's a big, deep breath that I feel like I can finally take. So reconnecting there has been amazing. And to be courageous in a lot of different ways. My insurance changed. yet again. So now I have to find new doctors, new dentists, right? All of these things. And sometimes reconnecting with your health, the reality of your health, is scary. And I'm a little bit scared. Like, what's going to happen? I stepped on my scale today, you guys. I haven't told you this yet. I lost 10 pounds this summer. I don't know how or why. You guys saw a little glimpse of my summer. It was not the healthiest.
It's called stress, my friend.
It's probably stress. It's stress.
Yeah.
It's not eating foods that are like green or fibrous. It's, not moving a whole heck of a lot. I don't think it's good. That drop in weight was not something I welcomed. And actually, it was really interesting. I stepped on the scale and I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. Like, I thought it was going to be like 210, 220, like all my clothes are fitting weird. Like, I was just like, oh, and it was 190. And I looked at it and I went, oh, this is actually worse than what I thought. It was the first time in my life where losing weight was not met with some type of feeling of like, oh, good job. It was like, oh shit, this is not good. This is not good.
Well, it's different when you know you're on a plan, when you're working towards something and you see those results, that's cool. But when you're not,
right?
and you know you're actively not, like, you're like, oh yeah.
The math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't mathin'. Nope. And I very quickly was like, oh my God, what the hell what is this? And I all of a sudden was like, just going to some really bad places. And I finally just gave myself the permission to be like, you know what? It doesn't matter that you don't know why this happened. Now is not the time and the place to deep dive into this. It's a piece of data. Now you know. Move on with your day. And right, I'm not bearing it. It's not going away. But it's like, oh God, I didn't even realize that this was going to be an area that I would need to have some courage around. Didn't see that coming. So so having a lot of courage to meet with new doctors and get the tests and get the data so that I can drop another pin in the map of my journey, like, oh, I am here today. And that's scary to acknowledge reality sometimes, but the fear and the anxiety and the worry that I've been feeling is because I'm living in the past or the future. I'm not living in the present. I have to fight my way back to the present, and I have to just live here, because this is where solutions live. This is where progress lives. And it's also where contentment lives. It's okay to be okay. We've been talking about this nonstop in the community this week and in other weeks. It's okay to not be okay. It's also okay to be okay. And I would very much like to get back to this point where I'm feeling strong, connected, and courageous because I'm living in the present. Right?
Yeah.
I can visit the past, I can visit the future, but I need to live here. So.
Well, we often like to look towards living in the future because that's when the work's already done. It's hard to think about the present because that's when you got to do the work. And that's where the courage comes from, is because there's work to be done and you still agree to do it anyway. You agree to look at it. You agree to address it. You agree to meet it head on, instead of looking to the future when everything's already done. And it's back to easy street for us folks, us high achievers, because we like to do things that we already know how to do because those things are easy.
And the present is the truth, right? The future, we can say, oh, it could be this or that, or there's a lot of fluidity in the future. The present,
you want to be.
The present is the present. It is steadfast. It is true. There is no denying where you are right now. And that is really fucking scary.
It's that raw data.
It's really, it's scary though, to look around and be like, to be in the present, look at the scale like you did this morning, April, and say, what the hell? Like, that's not what I intended. That's not what past me thought that this would look like. It can be really scary, but it can also be really good. So being in the present is where we should be. The future is, we don't know what the future is going to be because we're not there yet.
Nope. And I'm such a control freak that I want to, right? I can make the future the future. And it's like, you make the future by doing the work now, not by thinking in the present, not, yeah, all of that really kind of swirled and came to a head this morning at whatever time it was, 6 something in the morning. And I was like, oh, and here we are. Look at this. Look at this. So it's going to be good. And Natalie, I was telling that the other day offered, she was like, do you want me to check on you every day about how you're feeling? And I was like, why would you do that? She's like, it's called accountability. And I was like, dude, I've never actually had one single person be an accountability check-in for me. And yeah, she was like, I mean, is this weird? And I was like, I don't think it's weird. I was like, I guess I've never done this before. Maybe I've done it for other people, but it's been really good because at random times, usually at night, I get a text from Nat that says like, how was your day today? How are you feeling? And I'm like, oh, damn it. Now I actually have to think about like, but it's connecting me back to how I want to feel and all of those things. It's been good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, other people in BariNation have done that for me. They have been my people. And I just thought we were in Profi in Progress. We were attending a BariNation event, and you had said your goals for the month, and I thought I'm gonna see if she wants someone to check in on her because the three of us, I'm looping myself in here and Jason. We say things, right? We have a podcast. We say a lot of things. Sometimes we don't do the best job following up or being accountable. Uh, Again, myself included. So I just texted her and I was like, "Do you want someone to check in on you?" And I kind of saw her face like on the screen because I did it in the moment, and I saw the little bit of thought that was happening, and you said yes, and I said okay. Do you want it every day? Because I think sometimes that can be a lot too when it's like every single day you're getting a text message. And you said, yeah. And you have been, responding every evening with, those little check boxes that you set out to accomplish. And I can visibly see the difference in how you're holding yourself just from that little bit of accountability.
It has been helpful, and I'm new to it, so I don't think I'm tapping into all of the power and the potential that asking myself those three things can have, but it still is helping because at the end of the day, when I get that text from you and I'm like, oh shit, was I courageous today? What did I do? It's almost like forcing me to revisit what's been an absolute blur and reconnect with it, because that's the thing. I can get going and then I'm just like, I'm doing things almost without intentionality. I'm just doing things because I think this is what has to get done. But it's really helping me reconnect with like, oh no, what did I do? And was it really aligned? Was it in service to what I was hoping it was? And if the answer is no, then it also is giving me a moment to be like, oh, what could I have done today that would have helped me feel that way or feel those things. So it's been a really powerful practice that I've been very grateful for. So thank you, Nat.
Well, it's good because like we talked about it before, like when you used to journal and stuff, you would do it at the end of the day. So it was like a data dump and you could kind of start the next day with a clean slate, knowing that you kind of got all of that out. So this is the same way for you to do that, just in a different different mode of transportation to get there. But at the same time, you like you said, you have to stop and kind of revisit the day and think of the times where where you could have done better, you could have done worse, you did what you needed, you did what you should, those things. It kind of gives you, you're holding yourself accountable with the accountability partner. So it's good that you're practicing that, because I think it's going to help you a lot in getting kind of shaking some of that off.
Yep. I agree. Agreed. All right, friends, let's transition to the last thing we wanted to talk about today. What are some things in our life that are really positively impacting it? Are there books? Are there podcasts? Are there things? Are there moments? What is having a positive impact either on your bariatric life or on your life in general right now?
I have a couple. I've been thinking about this today. The first one is really spending quality time with people that I love and care about. I've been really with this move, feeling like I need to be intentional about carving out time to really spend time with people. And this last weekend, I went down to visit my cousin in the area that I want to eventually move to. And I was looking at apartments and all of this, and I had a horrible day on Friday. Just like anxiety was high, had a full on panic attack, just did not have a good day, which is fine. I mean, we have those days. And the next day, my cousin was putting on a clothing swap, and this clothing swap was perfect opportunity because I'm moving, and I was like, I have clothes to get rid of. They were being donated to, or anything that wasn't taken is being donated to an organization that helps people who are transitioning to find gender affirming clothing. So I was like, either way, these clothing items are going to get used, which makes me feel better. Also, they're just getting out of my house. So we go to this clothing swap, and it's hosted at my cousin's friend's house. They both put it on together. And I was really nervous because I didn't know what demographic or what type of bodies would be there. And I never have been able to get clothing from like a clothing swap, or even going to Goodwill was always hard to find things that I actually love. And I came with two big totes of clothes, and I left with a big tote of clothes. And I just remember feeling like I feel normal. Like I just feel normal. Like I'm living a life that aligns with other people that I've never met. And it was a really beautiful day too. Everyone was like very friendly, and we just like sat on this person's porch and we're just trying stuff on together, and it was just a really beautiful day. And I remember like driving home on Sunday and just being like, wow, like that was my life yesterday. Like, holy cow, that was a beautiful day after such a horrible, hard, stressful day. Um, and so that's been really like having interpersonal connections, whether they're old friends, family members, or new connections. I don't know, I've just been really grateful for the interactions that I've been having. And on BariNation, I've been going to a lot of really awesome meetups and classes and support groups lately. And everyone has been very vulnerable and supportive every single day, which I think is just a huge testament to the bariatric community being so ready to support people and to be vulnerable with each other. And so, yeah, that was very long-winded, but interpersonal connections have been really, really just propelling me forward when I feel really isolated and scared during all of this.
I was going to say we've been talking about that too. I feel like a broken record this week. It is our macro relationships, right? It's time that we spend with big groups of people that are important, but it's also the micro relationships that we have. It's the one-on-one time that we make with people, either in a physical right conversation, in a digital conversation, in a quick touch out, right, in a comment on something. But we really do need this, this full circle of relations. We need the big groups, we need the smaller kind of moments to learn and connect with a few people, and then we need the single conversations to really round out our life. And it's fun to see them unfolding. Nice. I like it. Jason, what about you?
Mine's kind of similar in the vein of really just reconnecting with people in my life that I've kind of took a break from. I took a break from a lot of just interaction with the community as a whole, BariNation. And, I was kind of leading my group, but that'd be about it, on Saturdays. And then but really getting to connect more with the people that are in the community and on Instagram and TikTok and just all the stuff as well. Cause I'm, we're kind of remote here. So all my family's back home. So even that's digital connection. So, but reconnecting with some of the friends that we have here that we've kind of been neglected just because we've been in our own little world, like just getting out and doing things with them again and just kind of moving different than I was, because isolation wasn't cutting it, and I think was leading me more towards the issues that I was having. So between that and getting excited about putting outfits together for for JBY and getting stuff for retreat and stuff like that's really kind of brought me back to a center that I feel like I can work from again, because it's not the isolation, it's not the despair, it's not the, oh, woe is me, oh, ho hum, I can't, breathe, I can't find a way out, I do feel like I'm being buried kind of thing. I'm using all of those things as stepping stones to get myself out of the hole that I've kind of been in. So those have all been things. This community is amazing for so many different reasons and resources. Like they're always there to help no matter what, whether it's a question or whether it's a support, it's something to brighten your day, whatever that may be, somebody just to check on you to figure out if everything's going well. Like I've had all of the above, and it has been tremendous for me to kind of continue to foster those relationships, or find out that people are excited to meet me when we go to JBY or when we go to retreat or whatever that may be, or people asking questions about what to expect, and me getting to kind of go back to happier times where I could express that kind of stuff has also helped kind of change the lens a little bit for me. So those are the things that have really been working well for me lately, that have kind of brought me back around.
Awesome. This journey is not designed to be taken alone, right? The fear and the worry, the darkness just grows in isolation. And the only way that we can fight back against those things is to bring it into the light and to ask other people to join us, right? Or to find the community to join ourselves. It's not meant to be done on our own. And it can't be. It just can't be. Mm-hmm. My positive impact things, really, I've been listening to the Rich Roll podcast. It's been awesome. I love it. It's super long form. I mean, he can talk longer than we can, which is impressive. Like his podcasts are like 4 hours long sometimes. But just lots of aha moments. And I love getting a spark of a new idea, because I always got problems up here that I'm looking for solutions for. They're always floating up there. And when I hear new things or see new things or take new things in, they help me problem solve. So that podcast has been really, really great. The 2 books that I have just been pouring my heart and soul into, The Tools, and then the other one is a brand new one called Master of Change. Fascinating, very, very, very interesting. So that's been making a really positive impact. And the other thing too is I'm really working hard to reserve most of my evenings for Grady. That has been making a really positive impact. We've basically been living apart all summer because he works in Seattle and we're way down in Olympia. And so he stays in Gig Harbor at the weekend and he's down there on the weekend. So for us to be reconnecting and just kind of have some time, it doesn't work every night, obviously, but there's, that's been good. It's been making a really positive impact. And just, getting back moved in here and then cleaning out the old stuff, right? I got home and I all of a sudden felt very overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, there's so much shit here in my house. But just, moving through stuff and giving away, throwing away, out with the old, right? Kind of like out with the old, nothing new in, has been, good. So yeah, all really good things. Yeah, good positive things. So really just, we're all kind of saying the same thing. We're reconnecting with people, reconnecting with community, leaning into some new ideas, some new thoughts, and in a lot of ways refocusing on the present and what is directly in front of us instead of what's behind us and what's ahead. Freaking rad, my friends. Well, this has been an amazing conversation, an enlightening conversation, especially Jason, with you being so open to share that. Thank you for doing that. You've heard us talk about the BariNation support community, membership community a lot in this podcast. We are definitely leaning into it. Even though we created it, we also utilize it on a daily basis. So if you are looking for this extra layer of support, if you're looking for this place to go that's not algorithm driven, if you're looking to connect with people who are also going through what you're going through, we invite you to join us over there. It's about $1 a day, and it is 24/7 access. We have getting close to almost 100 live support groups, classes, or meetups that are hosted every single month. Our support groups are only led by therapists. Our classes are led by professionals and experts in the bariatric field, and our meetups are hosted by patient moderators just like us. So no matter your age, no matter your stage, really no matter what you're struggling with or the things that you want to celebrate, you're going to be able to find a safe place to do so in our community. So there's a link to it in the show notes. There's a link on our Instagram bio. You can head to barination.mn.co or just barination.com, or you can of course reach out to any one of us and we'd be more than happy to jet you a link. And you do have 2 weeks to try out the community space before you make a commitment for membership. But we're pretty confident that once you join, you're really, really going to love it. So hopefully we will also get to interact with you there in the nation. And we do have some cool other podcast things that we're going to be rolling out soon in the next few weeks. And Nat, you want to share the first one that we're going to kind of introduce people to today?
Yes, I'm really excited about this. As April kind of mentioned before about the poll, do not forget to vote. Are you into pumpkin spice year round, or do you only think fall? Let me know. But if you go to Spotify, you can also support the podcast in a monetary way, which helps us keep the lights on, so to speak. So pays for Zoom, it pays for the back end editing, the upfront editing, and preparing for the podcast. Every episode takes a lot of love and time to really curate and post for you all. So for just $5 a month, you can donate to help support the podcast. It really means the world to us to continue to create our and cultivate our relationships. We love being able to interview experts and patients in the bariatric realm. So just $5 a month will help support us. And we thank you already for the tremendous amount of support that you've shown us already. This is just a little bit of an extra way for you to show that additional support. And we thank you in advance if you choose to do so.
We would be very appreciative if you would like to support us in this way. We love doing this podcast. There's so many things that it helps us work through, and we know that it helps you as well. So if you've found our podcast valuable, if you've got some meaning out of it, we would sure appreciate financial support. All right, my friends, I think we did it. I think we did.
I think we did.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be like 45 minutes. It's like an hour and a half. Like 2 hours. I know. I don't know what I'm gonna learn.
This is like vintage April right now. She always thinks that it's gonna be so quick when it's the three of us.
It's not. I don't, and you know what? Frankly, at this point, I'm okay if this is a lesson I never learn. I'm good with it.
Same.
I'm good with it. All right. Jason, my friend, you want to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. To the community as a whole, we cannot thank you guys enough for all of the support, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the honor of being nominated for so many awards at the JBY Awards. We appreciate you guys so much. That just to be nominated is an absolute honor that you even thought of us in that way. We thank you guys tremendously. And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this and we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time, friends. Don't forget, vote in the poll.
Yeah, it's important.
Bye, guys.